listen, I know I've taken a little bit of a break off of YouTube. I'm not a huge YouTube girly in general, but one of my New Year's goals is to get back more into YouTube and to do, you know, the day in the life videos, whatever I want to post. I'm going to try to get creative with it this year. So stay tuned for a lot of fun stuff on my YouTube. The only things that you need for this video today is a comfy blanket, your couch or bed, drink of choice. I'm having an iced coffee because it's still the morning. And just make sure you're relaxing because we're going to be chatting. We're going to be diving deep today. We're starting 2023 off with a bang for my YouTube channel. And I'm going to be talking to you guys today about my entire birth control story. Now, if you're not new to my channel and you've been here for a little while, you might have already seen that I do have another birth control story already up on my YouTube. It's like a get ready with me while I chat about my birth control story. I'm doing my makeup. It's really fun. That story is basically what I'm going to repeat today, go a little bit more in depth, but I'm also going to kind of chat about what I'm doing now with tracking my cycle and cycle syncing my workouts. I have an Aura ring, which, you know, links to my Natural Cycles app. I'm going to be diving a little bit more into that today because I feel like I've learned even more about my body since that video. And I've just learned so much more in general that I want to share with you guys today. All right, let's take a sip and let's get into it. All right, now before we dive into everything, I feel like I shouldn't even need to preface this, but I always do because you just never know. Better be safe than sorry. I'm obviously not a doctor. I'm not certified or specialized in absolutely anything that I'm going to be talking about today. What I'm talking about is my own experience with birth control and really kind of diving deep into a lot of personal things that I went through with it. I think a lot of you guys have related to my birth control story if you kind of already know bits and pieces of it because I've shared it on all of my social media platforms. But we're gonna get real, we're gonna get raw, we're gonna get super into detail about what happened. But just to let you guys know, like, take this with a grain of salt if you want. I have educated myself as much as I possibly can just about hormones and cycles and through a lot of trial and error of my own experience. I mean, I personally think the best way to learn is through your own experience, and that goes for anything in life. And also, I'm not against birth control. If birth control works for you and you love it and you don't have any issues, it makes you feel even better, then absolutely kudos to you. Stick with it. I love that for you, bestie. But it did not work for me. It worked for me until it stopped working, and then it became a little bit of a nightmare. So I'm just gonna share my story and let's get into it. We're gonna start at the very beginning. When I was 15 years old, this was before I was sexually active, I had super bad periods. I had an extremely, extremely heavy flow. It wasn't like, oh yeah, like I'm kind of a heavy bleeder, like extreme. So my mom and I chatted about like, okay, let's go to the doctors. Let's see what they have to say. We went, they're like, okay, well, we can put you on birth control and, you know, it's going to stop your flow from being too heavy. It's going to make you feel better. XYZ. And you know when you're like 14, 15, 16, 17, whatever, you're like in your high school era and you're like, I'm on birth control now. It wasn't like I did it to try to be cool, but it was kind of like a cool thing. It's like, oh my God, like, yeah, like I'm on birth control now, you know? Not that I did it for that reason, but I was like, this is great. Like I'm kind of a grown up. I'm, you know, on birth control. Everything's good. So I got on the generic pill. And by the way, my mom did not, like my parents, my family did not force me into this. This was completely like my own choice. And it was something at the time that I actually needed because I was like super anemic. It was just kind of like a hot mess down there. So got on just the generic pill. And I was on the generic pill from my sophomore year of high school all the way up until like a little over halfway through my freshman year of college. And it was amazing. I had no issues. I still had my period when I was on it, but it was super light. My period came to a T every single month. My skin was relatively clear. I mean, I was in high school, so of course you get, you know, your breakouts and whatnot, and it did the job. Like I didn't have absolutely any issues with it. About halfway through my freshman year of college, I had a period that lasted for almost a month. And I was blood clotting really, really badly, like golf ball size blood clots. It was honestly kind of traumatic, and I knew that something wasn't right. And I remember this very, very vividly. I called my gynecologist on a Sunday. It was like the emergency line. Like you had to click through a bunch of different things and it's like emergency line to get on the phone with him. And I explained what was going on because it was so bad. And he was like, oh, okay, well, you know, sometimes your body just rejects birth control, especially if you've been on it for a long period of time, but you'd be a perfect candidate for an IUD. And I was 19 at the time. I was like, perfect, like another form of birth control, an IUD. I think it works, it's supposed to work even better than pills. Like I don't have to worry about taking a pill. This is great, it's not a big deal. So I flew home that Wednesday. It was Sunday that I talked to him, that Wednesday, and I got my IUD on Thursday. I got the Mirena IUD. Miss Mirena and I have some things we need to work through still. I got the Mirena IUD. I will say the procedure itself is extremely painful. I have a really high pain tolerance, and I feel like a lot of people say like, oh, I just have like such a high pain tolerance. Like I have a really high pain tolerance. No, really, like I have an extremely high pain tolerance, and that procedure was super painful. I was fine during it. Like I didn't cry. It felt like the worst cramps of my life for like a minute, and those 60 seconds felt like hours. I mean, it was really, really bad. I don't understand why they don't have any type of stuff that they can give you to help you through that. I think that's kind of maybe up and coming. I don't know. That's in discussion now, which is absolutely amazing. I think it's a must. So I got the Mirena IUD in. I bled for about probably 2 or 3 weeks after that, because that happens after you get an IUD. You'll bleed for a little bit. And then it was great. It was great. The Mirena IUD for the first year and a half was an absolute dream. I mean, my skin was clear. I didn't get my period at all. I got rid of my period, which I was like, this is great, because I'm in college. Like, we're going out, we're doing all the things. I'm like, this was just really convenient for me. Didn't have to worry about taking a pill or forgetting it and all the different things. It was a dream until it wasn't. It was good until it wasn't. Now, everybody needs to take a sip of whatever you're having, because we're about to get really into the nitty gritty here. So now we're on the Mirena IUD for a year and a half, and I think it's supposed to last for like 4 years until you have to get it replaced. I had so many health issues, and I didn't know what the root cause of it was, and I never once thought it would be my Mirena IUD. And it started with reoccurring UTIs. Now, at the time that I started having issues with my IUD, this was the first 6 months of Nash and I dating. Now, Nash is my boyfriend. We've been dating for over 4 years now, and we've lived together for the past year and a half. So we have been through the entirety of the bad parts of my birth control experience. He has been through all of that with me. Bless his heart, because it was a lot for us to go through, and I'll kind of chat about that a little later on. I was only with Nash, and I am a super, super hygienic person. And I've gotten UTIs before, which is urinary tract infection. If you don't know what a UTI is, it's urinary tract infection. The best way that I can describe it is that you have the constant like need, like that feeling that you get when you have to pee, you know, where you're like, oh, I have to pee, that kind of like little bit of that burning sensation. It's like that to the 10th degree. And when you do go pee, sometimes no pee comes out. It's just that feeling, and it feels like a hot curling iron is, you know, okay? That's the best thing that I can describe. Like sometimes you have to sit on the toilet for hours because you can't get up because it's so painful. It's horrible. Would not wish it on my worst enemy. So I started taking cranberry pills and started taking like vaginal probiotics and stuff. And I was doing everything. I'm hygienic, I'm clean, I'm doing all the things. I'm peeing after you know what, I'm doing it. And everything, like I was doing everything that I possibly could, was still getting reoccurring UTIs. I'd say like once every other month, and that's just horrible. And then I started getting bacterial vaginosis, AKA BV. Now, if you don't know what BV is, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's basically like a bacterial infection down there. It happens a lot. You know, it's common. A lot of women get it, whether you're sexually active or not. It's basically just an imbalance of pH down there and just bacteria. So, you know, it's not like the worst thing in the world. However, for me it was, because my 2 symptoms of BV was extremely like liquidy discharge that it was so much that it felt like I peed my pants. And also my discharge smelled like fish. That was the most mortifying and like worst experience ever. And that, me going through that took a very, very long time for me to heal my relationship with my body. It caused a lot of issues with my relationship with my body, with my relationship with Nash, and just with my mental health. I mean, it was really, really horrible because this went on for a 6-month period. So I'd get BV, which you can get treated very easily at the, you go to your doctor or your gynecologist. They give you like a week's worth of medication. You take the pills. Don't, drink on it. Definitely don't drink on it. It's really, really bad. You'll probably throw up. And then you're good to go. However, the BV medication would give me a yeast infection every single time, which is common in women. No matter what medication you take, a lot of us sometimes get yeast infections from taking antibiotics and stuff. That's very common. That would give me every single time without fail. Okay, it would give me a yeast infection. So basically for 6 months, I had BV, yeast infection. I'd get BV again. I'd get yeast infection. Like it was just on and on and on and on. And so also during that time of all of those health issues, I had an ovarian cyst burst that landed me in the hospital. Now, pain, that was excruciating pain. I was woken up out of my sleep. It was like 2:30, 3 in the morning. I couldn't sit up straight. I was like dry heaving from the pain. And again, my pain tolerance is very high. So I was basically in my room with my sister and Nash. And I was like telling them, like, I don't want to go to the emergency room. It's going to be super expensive. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And then it came to a point where I like physically couldn't even move. Like it was bad. So went to the ER. Oh my God. And then, yeah, basically found out that, he said that I pretty much almost certain that I had an ovarian cyst burst. I've never had ovarian cysts before. I've never struggled with that. And I was like, this is insane. Like, what is happening to me? Like, why is there so much stuff going on down there? And then I still had my IUD in, by the way. This is like this was probably like 4-5 months after that 1.5 year mark. So I'm approaching like my 2 year. And what really sent me into, well, a dark place for sure, but what really sent me into officially being like, I need to get off of hormonal birth control was the fact that I completely lost my sex drive. That was the thing that sent me over the edge where I was like, I am done with this. And I'll explain how I kind of got there. So yeah, completely lost my sex drive. And I knew for a fact it had nothing to do with my relationship. It had nothing to do with Nash, nothing to do with like my environment. It was me. And I knew that, and I just couldn't pinpoint it. I was like, this is the most bizarre feeling. Like I was just numb. That's how I felt. I felt numb. I felt emotionless. And I felt like I was almost having like an out of body experience. Like I didn't even feel like my body belonged to me because I was like, I'm so against my body right now. Like it's me versus my body instead of me and my body. So one night I had like a whole mentee B and about, losing my sex drive and everything. And Nash has been just the best support system through this whole thing. Cause he knew that talk about having a difficult conversation with your significant other. I basically had to sit him down and say like, I have no sex drive. It has nothing to do with you. I don't have an answer. I don't know what's going on, but like, I don't want to do anything. I'm numb right now. And he was super supportive. Thank God. I'm super lucky for that. But I basically had a whole mentee be about that. And then one night I just looked up on Google. I was like, losing your sex drive. I like looked up like, why am I losing my sex drive? And the first article that came up was how if you're on hormonal birth control for extended periods of time, you can lose your sex drive. So then I started diving deeper and deeper, and I went down this rabbit hole. Like no joke, I was up for 2 hours, like down this research rabbit hole, looking up research studies and articles and all these different things and like blog posts and everything. And I found out during that period of research that my mirena IUD was pretty much the sole cause of everything that I was going through. Mirena IUDs, there's some, there's accusations, and from what I read, a possible lawsuit. I cannot confirm that. Do not take my word on it. I don't even know if it's official yet, but I know that there's been people who have gone to take action about their experiences with the mirena IUD. But ovarian cysts bursting was linked to mirena IUD, and also reoccurring BV. Because basically when you have an IUD, it's like the two strings, right? Having reoccurring BV is common because once you get it, basically the bacteria would stick to the strings. It would never fully flush out of your system. So that's why you would continue to get it, because it would stay stuck in the strings. And that made so much sense to me, right? So I found that out. I found that out that, women who are on birth control for a long period of time definitely have a suppression in their libido or complete loss of sex drive. And I basically had this whole oh my God moment. And I woke up and I just told Nash, I was like, I think I need to get off of hormonal birth control. I called my mom and I was like, I need to get off of hormonal birth control. And my mom's like, okay, then, get off of it. Then let's do this. Let's get off of it. And I was like, okay. So I called my gynecologist. I was like, I want my IUD removed, pretty much as soon as possible. Drove back down to the Bay Area, got it removed. They tried to put me on pills again. They're like, do you want to go back on pills? I was like, sure, you can send in a prescription, because I don't really know quite, it's a big decision. It's a big decision. So I took pills, birth control pills, for about 2 weeks. And then when I took the pills for 2 weeks, I literally was I had no control of my emotions. I was still numb. I was so high and so low constantly. I genuinely had no control over my emotions. And that's when I had another mentee B. I called my mom and I'm like, I'm getting off birth control. I cannot do this anymore. I'm miserable. This is horrible for me. My mom's like, okay, then stop taking it. Just throw it away, stop taking it, which I don't suggest ever to stop just taking birth control in the middle of your packet. Finish through whatever you're on and whatever you're doing before you decide to get off. I don't recommend that at all. Do not do what I did. But I did that. And then I started my life without birth control. This is so crazy for me to talk about. I talk about it quite often, honestly. I'm very open. As you guys know by now, we're besties now. We're very comfortable. But every single time I talk about it, it blows my mind. It blows my mind because it's just insane how all of this kind of happened and went down. So yeah, I'm officially off of birth control. This was November of 2020. So this was November of my senior year of college. I decided to make the jump and get off of hormonal birth control. Now, I had no idea what to expect. I knew absolutely nobody who was off of birth control. All of my friends, all of my people that I knew, everybody that I knew in my life that I could talk to about this stuff was still on hormonal birth control. So I didn't know, and I didn't really research. I just kind of went into it with absolutely no clue what was going to happen to my body at all, which I'm kind of glad that I did that, because I think if I knew about all the potentials that could happen, I would work myself up and probably gaslight myself into thinking that certain things are happening when they're not, all the different things. I will say, I'm going to try to answer also with this story a lot of frequently asked questions that I get. I will say first, when I got off of it, the next day I woke up feeling so much better, not physically, but mentally, because I finally knew what the root cause of my year of going through all of this crazy health stuff was from. I could finally point blame and be like, it's your fault for losing my sex drive and getting me in the ER and having reoccurring BV and all the different things. I could finally point blame, all of that had to do with birth control. So that made me feel like a weight was lifted off my chest, because I'm the type of person, which I'm sure that everybody's like this, but I'm the type of person that if I need to know something or if I don't understand something, I need to figure it out as soon as possible, and I will not stop until I completely figure it out and understand what's going on. So yeah, I could finally point blame to something, which was super, super refreshing. Now, my experience of going off of birth control is this next segment of this story that we're gonna get into. So take a little break, mix up what you're having, take a sip. When it comes to hormones, women's cycle, women's health, periods, birth control, everything, you have to understand that it is so individual. Everyone's own experience is their own story. There's similar things that can happen to all of us. I'm sure that what I say, if you're off of hormonal birth control, maybe you experience the same things, some of the same things that I did, but you never know what is gonna happen to your body until you go through it. And I know that's kind of scary, but it's just the truth of the matter, right? Now, frequently asked questions that you guys have asked me, I'll just kind of rapid fire them. I didn't gain or lose weight getting on and off birth control. Weight was never a factor for me. I did have some hair thinning that I noticed getting off of birth control a couple months, like 3 or 4 months into me getting off of hormonal birth control. I noticed some hair thinning. It's pretty much back to its normal thickness, but like I feel like I'm now on my natural hair journey. Okay, this is my natural color. This is my natural hair. You can't tell because it's in a nice little tight bun, but it's like to here. Okay, I used to have hair like down to my butt, my natural hair. I do feel like personally my hair hasn't really been the same. It hasn't grown like it usually does. I did have extensions in recently, and then also like a year ago I got in extensions as well. I wouldn't say that like ruined my hair at all. I feel like it was just kind of whatever, you know? But yeah, I do feel like my hair is not really quite the same. So that's kind of been a bummer. The first 3 months, I felt the same. So I didn't notice really any changes until 3 to 4 months in, until I started feeling different. And that's because it takes quite a bit of time for the synthetic hormones to fully work its way out of your system and your natural hormones to fully cycle in without any synthetic hormones. It's not like you get off of birth control and then all of a sudden the next day you're like, all the hormones are gone and you're good to go, you're on your natural hormones. If it was that easy, that'd be honestly fantastic. It's 2023. Can we make a way to do that? No, I'm kidding. It's just not how our bodies work. So 3, 6, upwards of 12 months for stuff to kind of cycle out. Again, it's gonna really, really be individual based on your body, but I will tell you, at least for the first month or two, you're probably not gonna feel any changes. Now, hormonal acne is something that I'm seeing a lot on social media, and I'm seeing it a lot from women who are getting off of hormonal birth control in their 20s, in their like mid to late 20s. A lot of women are experiencing these really bad hormonal breakouts. Not that it, you know, looks bad on them or anything, but to them, it's like, you know, you watch their TikToks, you can tell that it's really, really taking a toll on them. I did struggle with hormonal acne flare-ups. That was all around like cheek, chin, jaw area, even like my neck as well. I've shared a few videos on my socials about like my acne, hormonal acne story. I went to the dermatologist 3 months ago and I finally got some topical prescriptions to help treat hormonal acne. I am on clindamycin gel every morning. I put that on my fresh, clean skin, and then Twineo, which is tretinoin and benzoyl peroxide, every other or every third night. It's a super strong prescription, but I really believe that's why my skin is so like clear and glowy today. Tretinoin purge is real. Wait the 3-month mark, be consistent with it. Do the tretinoin sandwich, which is moisturizer, tretinoin, moisturizer. It's gonna save you. Once your skin gets adjusted, then you can put it on like your raw skin. That's what I do for my hormonal acne. I did everything, got the hormones checked, got blood panel done, got allergies tested. You know, I use clean detergent. I wash my phone case. I sleep on both sides. I wash my pillowcase and stuff once a week. Like, I'm good. I did all that. I did an elimination diet. Like, I did all of it. and nothing was working for me. I don't know why I do this like Northern English accent. I think it's Northern, like Irish, I don't know, whatever. Anyways, I do all of that. So then I was like, and I completely changed my skincare routine, and I was like, this shit is not working. I need to go to a dermatologist. So I did. She's been a blessing. Skin is cleared up. Yay. So that's kind of hormonal acne. I know a lot of you guys wanted me to go over that. It's going to differ for everybody. I didn't see any like hormonal acne probably until like 6, 7, 8 months later. So it comes at different times. It stays. Like, I had bad hormonal acne, then my skin cleared up for like a 3-4 month period, like clear as day. And then about a year ago, it started to flare up really badly. I'm like, God, this is so weird. Like, what is going on? So anyways, that's how I've dealt with hormonal acne. Now, I will say, for the first couple months of me being off of hormonal birth control, I didn't know about tracking your cycle. I had no idea. When I tell you guys, like, I was 21. Wait, 21, 20, wait, no. Yeah, I was 21 when I got off. Like, I didn't know anything. Like, I didn't know what to do. Again, I didn't do any research. So Nash and I just used protection, you know, every time. But I will say, you guys, due to the reoccurring BV and the issues that I had with the relationship of myself down there, it's like almost like I didn't trust my body, because I felt like I just felt very uncomfortable. I felt uncomfortable, and it caused issues with myself and my self-esteem. So it was hard for me to heal that relationship, work through that with myself, work through that with Nash. And it was a super difficult time for us, like super, super difficult. And my sex drive, I would say it took a year for me to feel normal, getting off of hormonal birth control. That really, really affected me. And that was my number one priority with getting off of hormonal birth control, was to get my sex drive back and to feel obviously just more normal and more in control of my emotions and myself, and like not feel numb anymore. And that took me personally an entire year to start to kind of feel better. And I would say in the last, I'm 24 now, I just turned 24. I'm an Aquarius, okay, hi. But I feel like in the last 6 months, I can say that I have fully healed my relationship with my body, and also have fully gotten my libido back in action. It took a long time for me, and it was honestly more so me working through the relationship with myself, because having BV and smelling like fish is truly the worst experience. Like, it genuinely, like, it affected me a lot. And I don't want to beat a dead horse with going over this, but if any of you guys are experiencing that, just know that you're not alone. Like, it is such a terrible thing to go through, and it takes a lot. It takes a long time to heal that relationship with yourself. So back to tracking. We just used protection, didn't really know about tracking. I started to use Flow because it was free, and I'm like, oh, that's what some people I know use. I've kind of heard about it through the grapevine. I'm gonna try it out. So I tried out Flow, and it gave me kind of an idea of like, okay, this is kind of what tracking is. Like, this is what it requires. I get it. Like, you know, whatever, listening to your body, you can see when you ovulate, which I was like, what even really is that? Like, I know about it, but I don't. And then I was like, okay, this is, you know, it's great, but it totally mispredicted my period. I wasn't into testing for ovulation yet. I didn't even know you could do that at the time, but it completely missed my period by like a long time. And I was like, okay, this is like really inaccurate. And I will say that I luckily had a pretty regular period after. It didn't come on the same day, so it wasn't super regular, but I got my period back after getting off of hormonal birth control. It didn't take me months to get it back. Like, it came back right away, like the next month, but the day that it fell on was kind of like different each time. Sometimes it was 3 weeks, sometimes it was 5 weeks, so it was very much irregular in that sense, but I was still getting my period, because I know a lot of you guys ask about that because some of you maybe haven't gotten your period yet, or you're waiting or whatever. Like, again, it does take time for your body to kind of catch up and level its own hormones out. But yeah, I don't have anything really to say about irregular periods if you haven't gone it, because I haven't gone through that experience myself. I was very lucky where everything was relatively regulated. So because flow was like super inaccurate, I was scared, because I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like, what even is tracking? This doesn't make sense. And then I found natural cycles, which natural cycles is the love of my life. I cannot rave to you guys enough about natural cycles. We love her. She's a gem. She does cost money, all right? Now, if you don't know what natural cycles is, she's your bestie. She's your bestie, everything and anything you need when it comes to tracking your cycle. You need natural cycles. I will tell you right now, it's the most accurate and best app, in my opinion, for tracking your cycle, whether you want to plan or prevent pregnancy. I obviously use it to prevent pregnancy. Now, what is Natural Cycles? Natural Cycles is the first FDA cleared birth control app in the United States. It's also cleared in Australia and also CE marked in Europe, which is great. So basically with Natural Cycles, what you do is you take your temperature every morning with the basal thermometer, you put it into the app, your temperature, because if you didn't know this, your temperature will fluctuate throughout the month, and depending on whether your temperature is a little bit higher, a little bit lower, whatever it is, it tells you where you're at in the month. So usually your temperature will drop a little bit right around the time that you're ovulating, and then it'll raise back up when you're going to start your period if you aren't pregnant. Now, you'll take the temperature, put it into the app, and the app gives you a daily fertility status. It will give you either a red day or a green day. Now, a red day means that you are more fertile. You are fertile or you're more fertile. So if you are to do the nasty, to either steer clear from it or use protection. Now, a green day means that you are good to go. You are good. And I mean, like, you're good. You're good. You're fine. Whatever you wish to do in that case is totally up to you. All right? Now, Natural Cycle is also paired with Aura Ring, which is what I have. And Aura Ring is super cool. It's basically like an Apple Watch just on your finger, and it tracks your sleep. It can track your activity, your steps. It is a little bulky. It's not super easy to lift weights with, I will say that, but it automatically uploads your temperature to Natural Cycles while you're sleeping, which is nice. But you do have to go into the Natural Cycles app and then click sync Aura, and then it will sync within a couple minutes. Like sometimes it takes like upwards of 10 minutes for the number to kind of click over there. Then it'll give you a notification and it's like, hey, we have your daily fertility status, like click here to find it out. So that's what Natural Cycles is. Now also in Natural Cycles, when you put in your temperature, you'll see this long, it's almost like a journal. It's so fun. And you'll see this long page that has whether you're sick, hungover, or you slept differently. You click one of those and it will actually X-nay out your temperature, because that does, if you're hungover, that will change your temperature. If you're sick, that'll change your temperature. And also if you slept differently, meaning like maybe if you're in like a completely different time zone or whatever, that will X-nay your temperature, because that does affect your temperature. Now, you can also put whether you did the nasty, whether it was protected or unprotected. You can put down your fertile, your cervical mucus, which is your discharge, how much, what it looks like. Also, ovulation tests. I get mine from Natural Cycles. They're super awesome. You can order any on Amazon. Either way, it's gonna work. You basically pee in a cup, you dip a little like testing, like what, those little pH strips they use to test in like science labs. You dip kind of like one of those into your, pee, and then you wait a few minutes and it'll come up with lines. If it's too harsh lines, that means that you are ovulating, which is, good to know. And then if it's like a faint line, that means that you aren't, it's not strong enough to say that you're ovulating or not. And then obviously if there's no line there, then you're not. So you can put that in the app, and you can also put your feelings and emotions, or if you're experiencing any physical things like cramping, headache, migraine, PMS, soreness, if you're happy, sad, tired, sleepy, anxious, like numb, all of those different things, you can all put that into your everyday. And then it's kind of like a little journal for your body, and it's amazing. And I've learned so much about my cycle and what a cycle is since then. It's been the best experience. And I'll tell you that it's been the most empowering experience as a female to be in charge of my like fertility and to be in charge of my body and my cycle is, I didn't even know, but it's like the best experience ever. I can't compare it to really anything. I now base pretty much my entire life off of my cycle because my energy levels fluctuate, my creativity juices fluctuate, you know, my emotions fluctuate. So I plan out certain things during certain times of the month. Like I will plan out cycle syncing workouts as a new popular thing. It's something that I'm doing now. It's really not anything too crazy. Some people take it to not an extreme, they just take it to another level of like really cycle syncing and only doing like strength training for 2 weeks out of the month and then low impact for the other 2 weeks. What I do is that during my follicular phase and ovulation phase, I am in the gym, pumping iron, feeling good, hitting PRs, lifting heavy because my energy's high. It's right after my period. I'm feeling good, really hitting the gym hard. Into my luteal phase. Now, luteal phase is when you PMS, and luteal phase is right before your period. And your period's actually the beginning of a new cycle. So again, follicular ovulation, feeling good. Into my luteal phase, I'm still strength training, but I'm listening to my body more and giving myself way more kindness and grace. So if I'm feeling crampy, if I feel my energy levels are declining, and if I'm waking up and I'm just so drained and tired, I will do low impact workouts. So I'll either go just for a walk or a walk on a treadmill, or I have a membership to a yoga studio here. So I will do super light like yin yoga. Sometimes I'll do hot yoga if I'm feeling up for it, but hot yoga, holy shit, that is like so difficult. If you need a good sweat, it's amazing. So I'll do sometimes hot yoga. And then once I start my period, I'm like good to go. After I start my period, my energy levels are like right away going up. It's like the second day and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to hit the gym again. So that's kind of what I do. So I'd say like 3 weeks out of the month, I'm still strength training. I'm doing my split, nothing crazy. I'm just doing the same stuff that I'm always doing at the gym. And then for about a week out of the month, I'm more in tune with my body. I'm listening to my body more. Like a cycle that I had 2 months ago, I strength trained all the way up until my period because I felt good. I was like, I'm feeling good. Like my energy levels are good. So each month kind of differs, but it's just knowing in my head that like I'm allowing myself and giving myself kindness and grace during this time, and like allowing myself to take a step back from the gym and be like, I don't have to go and try to hit a PR, or I'm not deadlifting today. Like that sounds like horrible. Like I just felt like it inflames my body and makes me feel worse than better. Now I will say though, if you do have cramps or migraines or whatever, working out very low impact workouts during that time of the month when you're PMSing and on your period is super important. It can help relieve pelvic tension, it can help relieve cramps, and also it's just gonna make you feel mentally better. And you really can't beat that, because curling up in a ball is sometimes what we want to do because we're in so much pain and we're just so tired and just done with everything, like been there, but that can actually make you feel worse. So you don't need to go, to your CrossFit class and try to hit a PR, but get a little bit of movement in, okay? Just get a little bit, like I'm not kidding, a 5-10 minute little brisk walk, you will be feeling so much better. The cramping's gonna lessen, pelvic tension's gonna lessen, and you're also just gonna feel mentally a lot better. You do have to be tracking your cycle, and you do have to know where you're at and what phase in order to cycle sync. And you can only track your cycle if you are off of hormonal birth control, because what hormonal birth control does is it basically stops you from ovulating. It stops that egg from dropping. That also changes your temperature fluctuation, so you can't track your cycle if you are on birth control. If you are wanting to make the adjustment to maybe getting off of birth control, maybe you're like, okay, I want to do this for myself. I want to be more in tune with my body. Or maybe you're like, I feel numb. Like I know that this is not good for me. Like it doesn't make me feel good. Things that I would recommend is to educate yourself on what your cycle is, what a cycle is, what you experience at each different phase of your cycle. A book that I love, it's packed away right now. Otherwise I totally pull it out. but write this down. You can get it at Barnes & Noble, you can get it on Amazon, whatever. It's called Hormone Intelligence by Aviva Ram, MD. Hands down, the best starter book to learn about your cycle, about hormones, about your period, about all things girly. Talks about PCOS and endo. It also goes over nutrition, workouts, all the different things. She breaks it down in a way that simplifies the information, which is why I love the book so much. I know that there's a lot of other books like Beyond the Pill and all the different things, and those are amazing, but she talks to you and she just simplifies a lot of complicated and overwhelming things. Because when you're reading it, you're like, oh my God, how do I not know this about myself? It's like crazy. Could not recommend that book enough. So read that, educate yourself, and just kind of understand that it is a big change. It's a huge roller coaster of a change, and leveling out your hormones, it takes a while. It's not something that you can really like do on your own. There's like certain supplements that you can take if you'd like. I'm not going to recommend any specifically for you. I would definitely recommend if you have the option or opportunity. I know it's not convenient or accessible to everybody, but if you can get your blood work done in like a full blood panel, I would definitely recommend that to see if you're deficient in any, you know, vitamins and any like essentials that your body needs, because that's just going to help you level out your hormones even more. Now, if you want to take a hormone and test your hormones, you can, but it's not that it's inaccurate. It basically is just a snapshot of that day and that time, because your hormones change. So if you get tested, your hormones tested on a Monday, it's probably going to be different than when you test your hormones on a Friday. You know, like that's kind of the thing about testing your hormones. Like, oh yeah, like they were all good and clear, but they're going to be fluctuating and changing. So it's not that it's not accurate. It is for that moment in time, but it's not like a huge broad thing that you can be like, oh yeah, I'm fully leveled out and stuff. So I would definitely recommend, if you can, you have the option and accessibility to. I know not everybody does, but if you do, definitely get a full blood panel from your doctor. Just ask them, like, you want to get all this blood work done, you know, take vitamins and see kind of what you're deficient in, if that's anything. Be kind to your body and show yourself kindness and grace, because it's a huge experience to go through, but it's so powerful. And I can tell you, being off of birth control for over 2 years now, tracking my cycle for a year and a half, living with my boyfriend for almost 2 years now, I can tell you firsthand that it works. You're gonna be okay. I came out of it, like, there's lots of highs and lows, lots of ups and downs, but like, you will be okay. Obviously, I think the thing is that it's different for everybody. So you know, you can take my story with a grain of salt, and you know, don't go based off of what I went through, because it's going to be very different for you. But that's kind of what makes it really fun, is that it's an extremely personal experience. And if you do have a significant other or partner, I could not recommend enough letting them in on this experience. Nash and I went through this together. It wasn't just a me thing, it was a us thing. And now we both track my cycle. Like, he's just as in tune with my cycle as I am, because not only it affects me, it affects him as well. And this is a decision that affected him just as much as it affected me. And opening up and allowing them to help you, and also just being open about your experience of what you're feeling. If they're able to receive that information well, if you feel safe and comfortable doing that, I would definitely recommend allowing them in on that too, because you want to feel supported through this process. And just know that you're not crazy for anything that you're feeling or thinking. You know, if you feel like you want to go off of it, you know, it's a scary, exciting process. But like I said, I'm living proof that you can do it. You can do it if you're with your significant other, if like you know are sexually active and you're scared about getting pregnant and whatever, you can do it. And do not be afraid. Everything is going to be okay. The last little thing that I want to tell you is that it takes a little bit of time for you to track your cycle and really understand what's going on when you're getting off of hormonal birth control. So be extra careful if you absolutely do not want to get pregnant. You can totally trust the green days with natural cycles. When you go into the app and you sign up for a sign up for a subscription with it, it has you fill out an entire questionnaire of like, when was your last period? Like all these different questions, and then it predicts your first period and day of ovulation. Now, you tracking everything, you can trust the green days then, but it's like, trust me, like you can trust the green days, okay? But if you are fully, like you absolutely cannot get pregnant and it's not something you want to do, it's like a huge anxiety for you, then be safe. Like, be safe and use protection. However you want to do that, be safe. Not my camera dying right when we're at the very end. But like I was saying, you can absolutely trust this. You can trust this experience. Use me as an example. Like, it's 100% worth it if it's something that you're interested in doing. And that is, I believe, it for today's video. The first of many YouTubes coming. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. We got real, we got raw, we got very personal. I hope that maybe you learned something today, or if not, maybe you just enjoyed hearing all the different stuff that I went through when it came to birth control. But if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. I love you, and I will see you soon.